Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Sanders, and we are here with the two presidential candidates for season four. Today, we are going to be having a discussion with both candidates. Let's start with opening
Remarks.
statements, opening remarks. Yeah, Grover.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Grover Magner. I'm running under the Liberal Georgia's Party, and I know it's a newly formed party, but I'm running because I feel like I am the best candidate to help you. I understand that there are many problems that the American people face, and I want to help fix those problems. I want to fight for you. I want to fight to pass policy that will benefit you. I want to renegotiate NAFTA. I want to make our healthcare system much better. I want to make our taxation system more fair. That's why you should elect me, Grover Magner, for president.
Thank you, Assemblyman Magger. So,
I'm no longer an assemblyman, but
oh, I thought you just resigned from speakership.
no, I lost my seat.
Oh, well, thank you, candidate Magner. Uh,
Former vice president.
Former Vice President Magner. Um, T-Dog, or former Speaker T-Dog. Let's go.
All right, thank you. First off, I'd like to thank Robert Sanders for holding this debate town hall esque. And I'd also like to thank Grover, my opponent, for being here. So, first off, I'm running for president because I believe America's best when we work on a bipartisan basis. We work with the other side, we reach out with them, and we work to get things done. I believe that we should focus on policies in America, but we also need to focus on social issues and social justice. I'm running for president because we can change America if we put in the effort, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you. So let's start getting into the questions. First off, let's start with you, or former Vice President Wagner. Um, what have you done as Vice President, and why do you believe you are qualified and experienced enough to be the nation's next president?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Robert. That's a really understandable question. We don't want someone who is very inexperienced in office. As vice president, I helped President Robert Sanders, who just happens to be here today, regarding the Cuba crisis. I helped him, you know, through thick and thin, try to figure out what's the best solution. What should we do here? What should we do there? Now, as an assemblyman, I passed the Climate Change Recognition Act, which invested over $3 trillion into rebuilding our infrastructure to become more green, efficient, energy-wise. That bill also invested in Amtrak to help lower the CO2 released by planes. It also created a carbon tax, and it also, again, helped create more nuclear power plants to create more jobs. Overall, I believe I am the best candidate for the job, and I believe that I um, will be the best president we've ever had, and I hope I can get your vote.
Thank you. Former Speaker Dog. Now, same question to you. Why do you believe, over your time as being a vice president for me, Speaker of the Assembly, and just an assemblyman, why do you think you're qualified and experienced to be the next president of the United States?
Thank you. Now, first off, I was vice president for like 3 days, right? So I don't think that counts as experience. But as far as why I'm better qualified, I've written countless pieces of legislation that I'm ready to pass into the General Assembly. General Assembly. I'm going to go put a bill up right after this, but also my experience in other communities that I've passed countless pieces of legislation. I just haven't fully integrated in this community. That's something that, if elected president, I will give the General Assembly plenty of legislation to do. But I am also ready to go and get some legislation passed right after this. And I'm also working on a bill right now with both Grover, Dave Schneier, and quote unquote Marty Davis, but he's not doing anything.
Well, thank you. You raised a good question in there. How will you keep the General Assembly active? How are you, as president, going to keep this community going? Because, as you know, president is one of the jobs, is the executive leader of the community, and is kind of the mantelpiece for this community. You see a decline in activity with an inactive president, and I think you've seen that a little bit with President Adams. So how will you work to address this issue, and how will you move to grow the community into a brighter future? Let's start off with Vice President Grover.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for the question again. That's a very important question. It's again another understandable question. We need an active community, but we're not always the most active community. I think I want to keep the rule. I believe it's under Ashton Shabazz, where if a bill, has enough ayes or nays in 12 hours, it won't pass or it will pass. That will incentivize activity, and I've seen that it has incentivized activity. I would like to reach out to people. I'd like to reach out to my constituents to talk to them. I'm going to be an active president. I'm going to be on every day. You can talk to me. You can come to me with your questions and concerns, and that's why I believe I am probably the best fit for president.
Thank you. Same question to former Speaker Doc.
Thank you. Now, first off, I believe communication is a big thing, and if we want to get the General Assembly active, and I think one of the biggest reasons it's gone so inactive is there's a lack of communication between. There's a lack of communication between. There's a lack of communication between the president and the General Assembly, and I haven't seen them communicate too much, especially now. Ricky Adams tried to schedule a State of the Union. I do believe communication is a big thing, so I will be reaching out to all of
yes, you brought up State of the Union. State of the Unions have been kind of a hit or miss situation in this community. Are you planning on doing State of the Unions as suggested by the schedule put forth by Speaker Kennedy, former Speaker Kennedy?
I do State of the Unions. I do them on calls with people. They can watch them live and such, just as we're doing now. But
and you will do these weekly too?
Huh?
Weekly?
Weekly? Sure.
Same question to you.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, first things first, I passed a rule saying we only need to do a new budget every half season. I think along with that, I think that's only when we should do State of the Unions every 0.5 seasons. I would like to do State of the Unions every week until that becomes more normalized. And I will do State of the Unions, yes.
And just sticking it to the community and how we can improve the community. Would you guys? I know that a poll was put out a while back after Harvey's community was found out to be a huge fraud setup. But we won't get into that. Would you support, as president, integrating NPCs and slowly making this the next true official mock election USA? We'll start off with Vice President Wagner.
Okay.
Yeah, you just start right off.
Okay, so Robert Sanders already talked to me, and he said we could have NPCs for lower level cabinet positions. I 100% agree with that. I also would prefer the entire cabinet to be possibly be able to be made up of NPCs. When it comes to actual, Senate seats and House seats, no. Or, excuse me, General Assembly seats, no. I don't think there should be NPCs. But when it comes to cabinet...
Just to clarify, we would reintroduce both chambers of the Senate and the House. People could run for a particular House district, or they could run for a Senate seat. Just like Ja'Cory's community worked. You know how Ja'Cory's community worked?
Yeah.
You could run. But, I mean, that...
I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, some concerns... I, as owner, am concerned as to that lowers the competition in the community. Would you agree to that?
Yeah. Obviously, I think that the most we should do is have NPCs be in the cabinet.
Yes. Yeah, I'd support that motion. What is your take on this, former Speaker Doug?
So first off, Ja'Cory's community failed for many reasons, and one of them was the fact of those NPCs, and it was very vague. And I think that whole system of having 100 seats in the Senate and such, that's vague. We don't really know how legislation is going to be voted on. So first off, NPCs, maybe one or two in the cabinet, but like the cabinet's not in MEC at least. It hasn't done anything, and it's not super important. So I do believe that's something we should probably do to get the cabinet.
I think, just to keep this as a discussion, I think that as owner, my position on this is I would support the cabinet fully being NPCs just to incentivize people to be in the General Assembly instead of a presidential cabinet.
Okay. That would be my answer to that. But also, you interrupted me earlier when I was trying to answer your question about inactivity.
Well, yeah, sorry, I was just trying to put my input in. I mean, it's a discussion, so you have no time.
Something else I would do would be to get inactivity bills passed. That would ban anyone that's inactive, which I don't know if we have now, but I do think.
Well,
yeah, there are no inactivity legislations.
If I may, I think that a better thing would just be doing the 12-hour thing, because we are 12 to 24 hours. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because we do have to remember that these people have lives outside of this community.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I don't think.
Yeah. The bill would account for unless if they were told that it's gonna be happening, or if it was an emergency, then yeah. But if they just go completely off the grid for several days,
obviously I'd support that.
Marty Daves.
If they go if they go completely off the grid for several days, then kick them out. But if they say, hey, I have something to do and stuff, and if they bring awareness to it, or if they have a valid reason, then I don't see a reason to kick them. But if they're just going completely off the grid because laws, let's feel like it, then yeah, I don't think they should be a member.
By the way, if I could go to one of your earlier points about about the cabinet, I do think that there is some importance to some cabinet positions, like Secretary of State, especially.
I think I would not allow an NPC to be Secretary of State.
Yeah, and
I would not allow a Attorney General.
Yeah, and some of the directors, like FBI director, I'm mixed on that.
I don't really see a point.
Yeah.
I have a question. So who's Ricky's state Secretary of State?
Albert
Fast. And what has he done?
Well, Secretary of State interacts with foreign policy.
Yeah, what has he done though?
I have no idea.
I'm not here defending. He and Ricky went to, I forget where.
They did do a foreign trip. Yes.
When was that?
A week ago.
2 days ago.
They did that over a week ago. Is what you're saying?
Well, look, Ricky. Again, I think we can all admit.
No.
Ricky isn't the great president.
The cabinet does not do their job, and I think that's something we need to do. That's why when I am selecting my cabinet, assuming that I could be able to win, and when I'm selecting my cabinet, I would select people who I know are going to be active and do something. And
I think the issue is, Ricky selected people who were going to be active. He selected Raymundo. I know. Actually, I can't think of any other nominees right off the bat, but I know he selected people who were active, and I think it's just the positions themselves that don't allow for activity.
I think there's a lot of vagueness in those positions. We need to get proper bills passed that assign them with more direct jobs.
Well, it's obvious that we need to have a rules committee in the General Assembly. We need to have more rules passed to improve the community for sure.
Okay, can I say something?
Yeah.
Me myself, I've already started planning my cabinet in case I win. I know that's kind of whatever, but
that's what Hillary did.
Yeah. So yeah, that's true.
Claire McCaskill.
And I personally am taking into account this position and activity. So, for example, a position like Secretary of Interior, I plan on having someone be my Secretary of Interior, but I don't necessarily think that I'm not necessarily going to pick the most active person because it's not the most active role. So I think if we do pick people for some of these less active roles, we should make sure that they're more inactive people.
And I think that candidates need to keep in mind that events are not sparse, but events aren't happening all the time, especially foreign policy events. There are some domestic policy events.
I think we need to do more events. I think.
Oh, we're gonna do more events. That's what I'm saying.
I think the owner Robert Sanders needs to do more events, and I think
again,
to have
like I said, I've clarified this before. For the past couple of weeks, I've been inactive, not in calls, and now
you're sick.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, Robert, can you tell the owner to do that? By the way.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, well, let's get to some more substantive questions. So, former Speaker Dog, what is your infrastructure plan, and what does it focus on that President Adams' infrastructure plan did not?
Oh, what? He did. Okay, should I answer then?
Yeah.
First things first. What infrastructure plan did President Adams have? Not to dog. I see what I did there, dog. Oh, hey, G-Dog. Not to dog Ricky Adams or anything. He's been a good president. He's made some mistakes, I'd say, but infrastructure really hasn't been his sweet spot.
I may be mistaken when I say that he's introduced an infrastructure bill. Excuse me. Adams Care. Do you support We'll switch the question from infrastructure to child care. We're going to child care. So, Adams Care. Do you agree with Adams Care? How would you improve Adams Care? Do you think there's a better, more universal way to provide child care across the country? Okay. And we'll start with former Speaker Dog because I know that he was supposed to get the first question.
No, Grover can go.
Okay, I can go. Okay, I support Adams Care. I support universal child care and universal daycare. From what I've read, it seems like a pretty good bill, a solid bill.
Can we let Speaker Dog explain his position?
Okay.
Why do you not support universal child care, and why do you specifically not support Adams Care?
Me?
Yes.
Did I say I didn't support
it? Yes.
I did.
He did.
Just say yes.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he said no. He said I asked. No, he said no. Support child care?
He said no. Grover could go.
Oh, okay. I thought he just said no to my. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yep.
Okay. So do you still want me to answer?
Well, Grover was still answering.
All right, Grover answered.
No, I'm done.
Okay, well then, you answer, obviously.
So I'm gonna go now. So I do agree with Grover on what he just said. I do support Adams Care, and I do support child care. Yeah, that's. I don't know, not much to say. Me and Grover actually agree on a
lot. Yeah, we agree on a lot.
Okay, well,
I'm the better.
That brings up a good point. How do you differ from each other? Because let me finish my question. How do you differ from each other? When voters look at you, they just see two liberals once again. I mean, we've seen this when I was elected both times, when Ricky was elected against, who was it? Dave. Both times, or not both times. But how do you continue to hold the liberal mantle after having 3 liberal presidents?
Well, what? How do I hold the liberal mantle, or how do I differentiate from T-Dog? You asked kind of.
Well, I was asking 2 questions in that. How do you differentiate from T-Dog?
Okay.
And how do you continue to hold the liberal mantle after 3?
Well, we've only had 2 liberal presidents.
We've had 3.
We've had Barack 3 presidents.
Barack Obama.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, and then we've had
Bush, and then
we've had 4 presidents. Or we've had 3 presidents in this community. Okay.
Yes.
Because of RFK being president for the day. Anyway.
That's true.
Anyway, so I'll answer the first question. When I say what I'd say to the first question, I feel like I differentiate with T Dog in many ways. On some issues, I would say he's more moderate than me. His taxation policy, from what I can tell, it's not the most similar to mine. I'm a Georgist. I believe in Georgism when it comes to taxes. Taxes. I want a land value tax. I support universal basic income. And I support tuition-free college. Some of those things I don't totally know if T-Dog supports. I'd like to hear his thoughts on it. But when
I'd like to answer that too.
Okay, let me finish the second question. How do I carry the liberal mantle? What do you exactly mean by carry the liberal mantle?
Well, you've seen a resurgence of Republican support in the General Assembly. Republicans are gaining on the Democrats. How do you continue to hold the Democratic lead if you want to be the next, essentially the leader of the Democrats?
Well, first things first, I'm not a Democrat. You have to remember that.
Well, the leader of the liberal mantle.
Yes,
in the General Assembly, you caucused with the Democrats.
Yeah. I see. I will fight for policies against even if they're opposition. I will talk to Republicans. I'll explain my views. I would like to talk to liberals, people across the aisle about why I believe this policy or that policy is better or the best kind of policy we should have for America.
Okay, thank you. T-Dog, or former Speaker Dog, what do you, imagine this.
I know the questions.
Well, no, I'm asking a different question.
Why are you asking? I want to ask the same question.
No, I directly mentioned him earlier about his position on taxes and
stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what he said.
You can respond to that. Yeah.
I would like to respond to that. Yeah. Okay. So my position on taxes, I don't believe we should have a land value tax, but that is a land value. I know is something Grover is big for, and
again, let's not get into a debate about land value.
Yeah. I'm not.
I'm fine with
it. But I do know it's something he knows a lot of, so I don't know. Maybe he should give me a lesson on land value tax one day.
I'll give you a lesson on it later.
But you can do that lesson later.
Yeah.
And as far as what he said about, did he say something about tuition-free college?
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. I would support it if we had a feasible way to pay for it. Grover's probably screaming land value tax.
Well, actually, can I respond to this point, Robert? Or
yeah. Well,
my position on the way to pay for the tuition-free college plan isn't actually through the land value tax. It's for a Robin Hood tax, financial transaction tax, which at 0.05% on the, or 0.5% on the tax on the sale of bonds or of stocks, and then a smaller tax on bonds and derivatives, it would generate roughly $120 billion, which is more than enough to pay for tuition-free college and tuition-free community college and trade school, etc.
Okay.
Okay. Can I go back to speaking?
Yes.
All right. So like a lot. I know in general in MEC too, a lot of people feel like raising taxes everywhere because in MEC no one feels the difference between taxes and such because obviously no one pays taxes in MEC. All they see it as is more funding. Mainly in this community too, they'll see it as it's just more funding. I don't feel like we should raise taxes in many areas. I do believe there are areas to raise taxes, but I also believe there are areas to lower taxes, such as middle class taxes. I believe those should be cut maybe around 5% at least. So my response to that would be, I don't think now I'm not trying to get into a debate, but I don't think raising our taxes everywhere should be a solution.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I have to go eat dinner. I was going to continue this. I had like 5 or 6 more questions that was going to keep us going for a while, but
Okay,
Unless
that's
you guys want to continue this afterwards, or unless someone can continue it while I'm eating.
I think we'll be civil
St-
while you're eating.
yeah. I think we'll be civil.
okay, well, I'll start us off. The question is, what will your budget look like?
I'll go first.
How are you? Okay, but this is a couple party question now. One, how often will you be releasing budgets? Right now, the current schedule is every Friday, but will you be changing that schedule? So how often will you be introducing budgets, and what will that budget look like? I'll leave you with that. I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Can I go first? Since you've gone
Okay.
first on pretty much
Start with
everything.
Grover.
But he's gone first on like everything.
Okay. Do you want to go first or should I?
Fine, you can go first.
Okay. You want me to or?
You go first.
Okay. So that's obviously, an important question. The budget deficit, what we're going to spend on. When it comes to the budget, I passed a rule saying that it's only every zero point 0.5 seasons. So that's every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So we only have to do a budget every 2 weeks. Um, my budget what my budget would look like, I would like to reduce spending in areas where I feel like we don't need to where we don't need to be spending a lot, and I would like to increase spending on things that are genuinely important, like Medicare and uh, Social Security and education. So my budget will try to lower the budget deficit while also making sure that we are not hurting anyone while we are doing that. Thank you. You can go next, T Dog.
Okay, so what as far as what my budget would look like, I would reduce spending in military as I I I don't think we should have a large military. Another thing I would do is I would increase spending in areas such as welfare, but overall decrease in area, just like what Grover said, decrease in areas that we don't necessarily need it to be so high. Maybe increase it in an area or two. Keep others the same. Overall, work on compromise. Of course, I wouldn't be like the sole one deciding this. I would be talking with the General Assembly and thinking, okay, well, what do they want done?
Mm-hmm. Um, Zensto, do you have a question for us? Or
Zensto, it's your turn to ask questions.
okay, let's just let's do. Do you want to just do some random policy question then?
Random policies. I feel like I fail at that, but okay, let's do random policies.
Okay, let's talk about housing. Well, actually, no, I already prepared for that. Never mind. Um, education,
Education.
like schools, like
Cool.
public
So can I
schools.
go first? Because I
Yeah,
don't really
yeah, yeah.
know about education. Okay, so and one idea that I think I should have, and it's a bill I've already written, would be to delay times of school. Considering America, we have one of the longest summer breaks in the world, but we also spend the most time in school than any other country. I do believe we should obviously cut the amount of hours we spend in school, as we've seen we have low attendance. And hold on, I have to go. You talk.
Okay. Okay, then looks like I'm here. So, when it comes to education, I do support increasing funding for public education. I'd like to do some sort of program where we can increase funding for low budget schools, because you know how schools tend to be funded through property taxes, and that often leads to schools in poorer neighborhoods getting less money. I would like to increase funding for those schools, and I'd like to, like T Dog said, decrease school hours and make our education system more about preparing the student for the future and less about useless knowledge. Um, that's kind of it. T Dog went. I don't know what to say now. Vote Grover. I'll discuss housing now. When it comes to housing, oh, okay, T Dog went. Okay, T Dog came back. Okay, I was just gonna talk about housing.
Well, can I go back to my point about education?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, one of my dogs. I have to walk my dogs. Another thing I should do was first off cut the amount of hours we spend in school to make sure students can get more sleep time and they're less stressed out, which would not only increase attendance but also increase performance in school. Another thing I would do would be to increase spending in education, as we are a severely unfunded. We have a severely unfunded education system, and we're one of the worst ranked. We're the worst ranked out of developed nations in the world. So I believe that's what we should do to help fix our education system.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like I think we're good here. I think we discussed a lot. Should we just end it here, or should we wait for Robert to come back?
Yeah, let's end it here, Robert.
Yeah. Okay, let's end it here. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Wait, can we end it without Robert though?
No, we can't. He'll just have to notice that the stream isn't going, or the. Yeah. Well, let's just leave.